Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. Today is the last Monday of October. It has flown by already. Today's Monday, October 26th. If you need help keeping track, and you might want to keep in mind that Halloween is this Saturday, so grab a costume if you're going to be out and about or just wanting to dress up for the day. With us today, it is Monday, and we have with us Congressman Greg Pence. How are you today, sir?
Very good. How are you? It's great talking to you again.
Yes, absolutely. Always a pleasure to speak with you. I'm doing great, thank you. Do you have a Halloween? Do you do Halloween? Do you wear costumes to hand out candy and such?
I'm probably going to be handing out candy. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, it's a different year this year. I think some people are choosing. Lots of communities are still going to have trick or treating, but are recommending keep it local to your neighborhood and your friends and your family.
Yeah.
So that is important. I didn't know if the community you are in has. I did not hear if they chose to allow trick or treating or not.
They do. Honestly, my neighborhood is all the kids are gone.
Oh.
It's just people. We have very few kids in our neighborhood, which is kind of sad. All my youngest is 31, and most of the kids in the neighborhood were his age or older. So we don't have a lot of people knocking on the door, although we get the candy and hope. We look out the window like a dog.
I didn't learn until we moved in the country when I was later in life, and I didn't realize that kids in the country didn't trick or treat. So the first year, you wait at the door with the light on and nobody comes. So then
We do, yeah, and I'm in the county, Bartholomew County.
Yeah, it makes a difference. If you grew up in the city and then you move to the country, you don't realize those things, but it's understandable for sure. So, well, we'll get down to business here, and you're doing a lot of traveling around the district currently right now, aren't you?
I sure am. We tried. It's good to be home back in the Indiana 6th District. I prefer that than out like in September. I was out in Washington, D.C. Not getting a lot accomplished, I'm sorry to say. And Washington, D.C. is almost totally shut down, so it's a little bit of ghost town. But out here in Indiana, out in the 6th District, we spent a lot of time visiting with county commissioners, city councils, mayors, law enforcement, veterans, first responders, and businesses. Just listening to what's going on with them, making sure that we understand and get our focus on the things that are important to the people of the Indiana 6th District.
What are some of the biggest concerns you're still hearing right now?
Well, it remains, Jody. It's it's COVID-19 to make sure that we continue to operate safely. With that being kids back to school, businesses opening, and then probably it's not an either-or choice, but businesses are very keen on talking about COVID and opening up safely and continuing to carry on. I will say almost to the point where even with county councils and city councils, I heard an awful lot about, we need our businesses to be able to continue to open, thrive, and do better. They're concerned about the tax revenues. They're concerned about property taxes. They feel, everyone I talked to felt that they were doing and their communities were doing a very good job in managing positive testing and managing what to do as far as contract tracing is concerned and managing COVID. So I'd say right now the focus is a little bit small business, whether you're a small business or you're a governmental entity, so we'll keep our focus on that. I did introduce, as I mentioned before, an extension of the Paycheck Protection Program and also an enhancement of the funds that the state of Indiana has also received. I co-authored those two bills. They didn't go anywhere. I don't think anything's going to happen between now and the election, but I sure hope when we get back after the election that we get on those things right away.
Yeah, there's still a lot of people out there that are struggling. Do the businesses that you speak with, do they feel like they're trapped under Indiana's back on track plan, or now that we're at stage 5, are most of them fairly comfortable with where the state is at?
Well, I think we're very fortunate to be where our state is at, because so many other states are even going backwards in some cases and just completely shutting down some of these small businesses. I think as far as dealing with COVID, the businesses felt that they were on track with that and had the necessary support and help. I also talked to some hospital administrators early last week, and they felt that they were in pretty good shape there. So I think we're all blessed here in Indiana that our fellow Hoosiers are behaving the right way, taking the precautions as you and I talked. If you have underlying conditions and you're over 65, you need to be especially careful, because that is still to this day, and I checked this morning, that's where the mortality rates continue to land. Almost 80% in the state of Indiana fit that profile. So stay home if you're not well. Stay home if you're not well and over 65, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It is still the area of people that need to be the most cautious, for sure. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue speaking with Congressman Greg Pence. And we're back. If you've just tuned in, we're speaking with Congressman Greg Pence today. Well, switching topics, you recently introduced a resolution for establishing National Day of Remembrance of the 1983 Beirut bombing attack.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. It's a personal passion of mine in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps 5.5 years, and our motto is Semper Fi, always faithful. I served with the 241 servicemen that lost their lives in Beirut, Lebanon. I was fortunate and blessed that I was able to leave there right before the bombing. But I will always remain faithful to their memory and the sacrifice they did. Iran financed Hezbollah to kill the Marine sailors, Navy, and all the servicemen that were there. Fortunately, about this resolution, I think if we keep knocking on the door, we may get this a National Day of Remembrance. And even last week on the day, which was the 23rd of October, this is the 37th anniversary, the president tweeted out that this should become a National Day of Remembrance. And this resolution had bipartisan support. All the Marines in Democrats and Republicans all got together on that. So I'm very honored and proud that they did that, and very appreciative that we work hard to remember those people I got to serve with.
How long did you serve back then?
In the Marine Corps, 5.5 years.
Yes.
I was what they called a Mustang. I was an enlisted man, and then I went back to boot camp because I couldn't get it right the first time, and became an officer. And that's if you're in the Marine Corps and you've been to boot camp, that's a joke. You got to be goofy to go to Marine Corps boot camp twice.
Yeah, I don't imagine that people want to go back to boot camp for the fun of it.
No.
Well, a lot of stuff. So you're not in Washington right now, so you're doing a lot of constituent services. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We're doing. I'm actually headed to a grand opening in Madison, Indiana today, and doing some community things. I do have. While it is the campaign season, and we have 8 days in the wake up to get there, we do have official duties that we participate in. And, good news is, I would tell you, in the Indiana 6th District, businesses are coming back strong. I hear folks say we're doing better than we were before. And I'm talking about manufacturers primarily, not the real small businesses. And some of them we're up at the 85-90% capacity. And so I'm excited about where the Indiana 6th District and the middle class and wages are headed here.
Definitely a great improvement. I know that unemployment numbers were released last week, and they're still continuing to drop month after month, which is good for the state and in the region as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, last week, Nancy Pelosi held a press conference, and it was stated that there was still a possibility that maybe just a stimulus would be introduced in the next couple weeks. Is that something that you're hearing rumored?
Jody, I think I spent 3 weeks in September where we were discussing doing floor speeches, negotiating on getting that done, and it didn't get done. And that, to me, and I hate to be real partisan on this phone call, but the House of Representatives had its chance, led by Nancy Pelosi, to get that done. And the things we needed to get done were PPP extension, expansion of the uses of the funds that the state of Indiana already has, which is $1.3 billion, and then some COVID liability protection, which, states, cities, counties, not-for-profits, hospitals, and schools also are exposed to that liability. But we didn't get those things done. I pushed for and would give floor speeches that we do it. So the answer is no. We're not going to get anything done between now and the election, and it's a little bit of a trying to push the blame to somebody else for not doing the job.
Speaking of election, should you be reelected, what are the priorities that you have for the next few years?
Well, keep being constituent services. I've always been with a focus on infrastructure here in Indiana, including rural broadband. That's still almost one of the main things I hear when I talk about infrastructure here. The good news is I think that the pandemic's utilization of telehealth is going to kick that door open. We passed a horrible infrastructure bill back in July that went nowhere, I'm sorry to say. But even after we passed that bill, that was the first time in 20 years that it wasn't sent out of committee with 100% support of Democrats and Republicans, we continued to talk about rural broadband. So I'll keep working on that. I'm kind of known as Mr. Rural Broadband in the U.S. House of Representatives. And then, veterans, helping out veterans, and just overall, as you mentioned earlier, constituent services. That's what I think I bring to the table. My experience, my knowledge. I've got a great team around me who can take care of those things because of the years of experience they have doing that.
And if someone's not familiar, what all services does your office offer?
Anything to do, Jody, with the federal government, whether it's Social Security, even the Paycheck Protection Program issues, the PPE, veterans issues, just whatever you can think of. And frankly, if you're unsure, contact us anyway, and we will help you find the right agency to talk to. So we do, I would say about half our calls are referrals or connections to whether it's a state or the county, which is where someone who they really need to be talking to for help. So, and if you go to pence.house.gov, you can find all our phone numbers. We have 4 offices and got 14 folks on staff to help folks. And another thing that we do, Jody, is if you want us to write a letter or get involved on something you're working on with the federal government, we did 125 letters in the last 2 years. I'm happy to get. I'm a representative of people in Indiana 6th District. I'm a representative between the folks and the federal government.
Are those letters mostly for businesses, or would someone maybe on a personal matter need one? Okay.
So I think, I've got a runway for Batesville Airport. Would be an example of a letter and some things that we did. We got a bridge built between the railroad, between Madison and North Vernon. So, it goes. So those are community issues. So that goes. So we'll get grants for communities, counties, and government agencies.
Definitely all important matters for sure.